Hello and welcome to another Red Shirt podcast with Vernon and Nigel. Nigel, we're back in Old Trafford. It's cold, it's dreary, and we're out at the FA Cup. How disappointing was Friday night, Nigel?
Oh, mate, it's do you know what? I think at this time in life, you just have to recognise where we are. Feels very much like it used to feel when we we're in the 80s. But, there were some positives, and I guess, we'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, I'm okay. Nobody's died, I'm feeling quite philosophical today.
That's good, Bill. We've been joined again by one of our regulars, Mike Davidson. You okay, Mike? How did you? Nigel just made a really good point there, didn't he? About we're back to the 80s. I think if United don't win anything this season, I think it's the 5 years, and the last time that happened was between Dave Sexton and Ron Atkinson in the 80s. Saturday morning, Friday night, was you feeling down, Mike?
Well, I'm going to embarrass you both there. Obviously, I was born in the later of the 80s, so I didn't get to witness that, unfortunately. But yeah,
oh, that's a low blow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was feeling down. If anything, it was watching the game was more. I think the further it went on for me, it was just seemed like it was going to be one of those nights. Even when we scored and went 1-0 up, and then we missed a couple more chances, you could tell, is it going to be one of them games? Is it going to be? And then the minute they scored, it was, we'll get onto it in a bit, but the minute they scored, you kind of had an idea that it's going to be one of them nights. So I wouldn't say I was too downhearted. I'm grateful in a way that we're out, because if we'd have gone through, we'd have got Tottenham, and it would have been another home game, seeing another team we see every week. If it had been, if we'd have got Peterborough like City did away, then yeah, it'd have probably been a bit more down that would have gone out, because for the fans that that are able to go week in, week out, and get the lucky ones who get to go to the away games, it's a different place to go. It's a different atmosphere. You've only got to look at some of the giant killings that there's been. You look at, I know West Ham on Saturday lunchtime, they scored in the last minute. Declan Rice didn't need to take it to extra time, should I say? And you've got, you see the elation on the West Ham fans' faces, because they think how lucky we've been to have scored in the last minute. And it's just being able to go to different places for me that kind of makes, and see different teams is the magic of the cup.
So you mean obviously going to places like London Road and the Agbra. I understand it. It's the magic of the cup, isn't it? And it's kind of strange, because you kind of feeling that. For me, obviously, it's mass disappointment, because to me, it was something that I think that we could have won. And you're coming into sort of Sunday's draw, and then going into Monday morning, knowing that Manchester United are out, but Boreham Wood is still in the competition. But I suppose that's just the look of the cup, because I think from a performance point of view, United, Nigel, the first 60 to 65 minutes was pretty good, wasn't it? Well, we should have been 3 or 4-0 up easily.
This is why it's one of those fun. You're feeling a bit strange, aren't you? Because, you look at the first half and you're thinking, hang on a minute. You can now clearly see that Ralph has had some time on the training pitch with these players. And, okay, there's all the shenanigans going on off the field that we may or may not talk about. But he's actually had some time with them. And, the one-touch passing, I was really enjoying. I thought Pogba and Varane were just brilliant. I thought they're just levels, aren't they? And I think, the conversation about Pogba, that dilemma's back in my head again, because I thought, obviously he burnt out towards the end, but for the first half, he's brilliant. Jadon Sancho had a good game, and I thought
Sancho seems to have showed his potential. I thought the other night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so there were just so many positives, and I thought alluding to what Mike said, we've been around a long time, Vernon, and we know when you don't finish your dinner, when you don't put that ball in the back of the net, you're going to get bit on the bum. And I just knew, you could just tell. I thought, this is just, and then when they scored the handball goal, which Ralph calls it, I was like, oh no. It's going to be one of those days.
We'll go on to VAR, as we like to call it. I mean, Mike, was you sat there confused like I was on Friday night when everybody, the commentators, everybody in the world, even after the goal was given, Chris Wilder and the Middlesbrough bench couldn't believe that the goal was given.
They felt, I thought they felt a bit embarrassed to even celebrate that it had been given. It was it's one of them, because you look at it and you think, well, he's not took, handballed it, took a shot and then scored directly. He's took a shot and it's effectively become a pass in a way, but it's still handballed it. It's, and it's one of these ones where now you think, this is probably the third time the handball rule has changed in the last 5 years. But before that, for the last 20, 25, 30, 50 years, how many times did the handball rule change? It didn't. Handball was handball.
Exactly.
Whether it's accidental or not, you're not going to get a defender jump up with his arms like that. They're going to jump up with their arms like, kind of away from the body. So now because you're opening a can of worms with the accidental handball now. So, defender jumps up and someone heads it and it hits his arm as he's coming back down. His arms are, he's not going to come back down like a salmon, is he, like that? His arms out. So his arms to his body, should I say. So, his arms are going to be out. So then you say, well, hang on. Is that, what would happen?
Well, the interpretation is, which we all kind of got confused with on Friday night, was because Watmore took it down, he obviously handled it. But because his shot wasn't going in, it therefore, didn't matter. The goal stood. Now, my confusion is, well, if a defender does that in the box, it's a penalty all day long. Mm-hmm. So how can you not? Because he's obviously gained advantage because he's brought the ball under control with it. It can't be deemed as accidental, can it? Because his arm isn't in a natural position.
No, you've only got to go back to Dallow's shot when we beat PSG in the Parc de France, Parc de Prince, and it was, that was going 40 feet over the bar or something, and Kimpembe, and it hit Kimpembe on the arm, and they've given a penalty for it.
And he had his back turned.
And Kimpembe's arm was closer than this one.
Yeah. So,
well, it was. It was so frustrating because for me, the question I've got to ask is, was it bad luck, the finishing, or were we just not clinical enough? You have like Rashford who misses the chance just after half time. You hit the bar, you hit the post. And to me, it was kind of like, I don't know.
And you miss a penalty.
And you miss thank you very much, Nigel. And you've got probably one of the worst goalkeepers in goal in the EFL. Seriously, that guy, when Elanga missed the penalty, had the cheek to run on the other end. Yeah. Seriously. He was like doing his, he was doing his, come, he was doing that. Like, you've not even
I'd say it was part bad luck, part we weren't clinical enough. And I think there was a bit of not just not being clinical enough. I think we kind of underestimated them up until the goal. And then I think once the goal was given and that, I think we were a bit shell-shocked that it was given, and we were like, well, hang on, we need to kind of step on it here. And that's when we didn't really take the chances.
I think the thing was that we were cutting them to pieces, weren't we? We were cutting them to pieces from front to back, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem, isn't it? I think we became nonchalant because we knew this team was fodder. That we knew at some point that one of the efforts are going to go in. So there's that nonchalance about the way we play. And I think, we've been found guilty of this before in the past, underestimating smaller teams. Or not so much underestimating them, but during the game, we recognise they've got nothing to give. So it's only a matter of time when we become nonchalant. And it's like, for example, when Bruno's pass, why is he putting his laces through that ball? That's a side pass into an empty. But he puts his laces through because he wants it to look good. Eh?
He could have gone round him. I mean,
he could have gone round. He could have passed it to Ronaldo. He could have done like 101 different things. But because of the nonchalance, here it is. I put my laces through it so it looks good. Side foot it into the net.
Yeah, I mean the gap was big enough.
Yeah,
the goalkeeper had sold himself. The goalkeeper, he dived that early. He was on the next page. Do you know what I mean? It
was like you say, Nigel. We kind of like, we were a bit nonchalant and a bit like, oh, hang on, they're a bit cannon fodder. But this is a team that are on the, they're on the brink of the playoffs in the Championship. A team that I think since Chris Wilder took over in November, I think they've lost once, maybe. So
I mean, it's a very good fact you made, because in fairness to Chris Wilder, I do like the way that his teams try to play football. He has restricted budgets, but you can see that there's some real good coaching on the park. And I mean, the thing was you could see that the equaliser galvanised them, and we just seemed to be like we were treading water for like the last 20 minutes. Now the other point that I want to make is obviously, there was obviously Lingard wasn't, depending on what you believe in the press, wasn't available or hadn't made himself available. And the other question is, and you can't obviously when he plays, you can't doubt his commitment. But every time Cavani seems to go on, international sort of like duty, he never seems to come back for the games that we need him. And I was reading yesterday, and I remember there were certain players who played in South America, in our successful times, that were coming back within 48 hours and playing.
Yeah.
The attitude is totally. It's not there, is it?
Well, Fred played, didn't he? He was in South America. He came back and he played.
Was it Gabby Heinze used to bust a gut to get back, didn't he?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, again, we've got to talk about it. As soon as it went to penalties, I mean, you kind of knew, didn't you? You kind of knew.
Sorry, Vernon, just before you get to penalties, my friend.
Okay.
Because obviously you raised a great point about Cavani and also about and Jesse Lingard especially.
Yeah.
And I have a theory on the whole Jesse Lingard thing. Okay, it was a similar thing with Marshall as well. And I think I believe Ralph when Ralph says he has nothing to do with players' contracts and players, all that kind of thing. He's all about the coaching and performances on the pitch. So he's obviously talking to somebody. And I think the problem lies somewhere between Fletcher and the new chief exec, in that they're telling him one thing and they're telling the players another thing. We've seen this a million times. Go on, Jesse, you go on, mate. Go and clear your head, because I know you're not happy about this. Then it goes to Ralph. Instead of this time Ralph the truth says, he's asked for 2 days off. I go, you know what the truth is. You should just say, yeah, I've told him to take 2 days off, because he's probably worried about an argument with Ralph saying, why have we told him to take 2 days off? I could deal with him, because as you well know, we've no longer got Mason Greenwood. So it's like you can see quite clearly what's happened. And I actually think Ralph is playing the game. I think Ralph knows that these two clowns next to him haven't got a clue. And I think he's just letting us know subtly, for those of you who can see it, I'm dealing with two clowns here.
That to me, in what you say there, Nigel, is I'd take out the guy who's took over, or is it the whatever? So we'd take out not Matt Judge, Richard Arnold, who's taken over, because I think he's going to be more the commercial side, which is what Woodward focused on, and that's for me in a way part of our downfall for the last few years. We have focused a lot on commercial and not put as much into the playing side of it and that. But it's like you say, you have got a point, I think, in that John Murtagh and Darren Fletcher.
John Murtagh's the guy I'm thinking of. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, they've between them, they've got a lot to kind of think of. There's players in our academy, and this goes back to, I think, a point that was discussed a few weeks ago in terms of when COVID games were being postponed because people didn't have enough players, and that you had Arsenal wanting to postpone the Tottenham game because they didn't have enough players, and that yet then they were sending players out on loan. This is why you have a 25-man squad. This is why we have academies.
Correct.
This is why we have an under-23 team, an under-18 team. FA Cup games is a potential chance to give these kids a chance to experienced what it's like to play in the first team. Shola Shoretiri could have come on. He could have been in the squad potentially and come on and experienced it. You've got Alanga who's come through the ranks, Rashford who's come through the ranks. We have got some good kids who, in these particular games, could have been given a chance. We had no Cavani, like you say. We had no Lingard. We had no Mason. There's people there who could have backed it up, but for some reason we chose to have 2 goalkeepers on the bench.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a very the point.
Who are the wrong side of 35?
Yeah, I mean the point of the point with Lingard and his transfer. From what I've heard, the information was that the club were ready for him to go. They were quite happy for him to go.
Yeah.
Then at the last minute, Everton came in for Donny van der Beek, and because United had decided that Donny could go, Ralph then decided he couldn't let Lingard go because he was already going to be short when it came to, obviously, you've lost Greenwood, you've lost Martial, you've lost like Donny van der Beek as well. And it was like a squad. I need some experience just in case. And it is quite interesting because I think Jesse had obviously geared himself up for a move, and then last minute it's gone. Because the one thing that you will say about Jesse is he keeps himself impeccably fit. You could see that last year, couldn't you? In last year's loan move to West Ham, he was quite on the ball with that, and obviously he's quite on the ball with how keeping his fitness and his shape. So we're out of the cup, guys, and it looks like it's either the Champions League or fourth. So an interesting point, because I think that we all started the season with excitement. We didn't think we could win the league, but we thought we were going to be there or thereabouts. We thought we were going to be in the conversation, and we seem to have been more and more of these Monday and Tuesday briefs, don't we, Nigel? Not the briefs that we wear, but just the upsetting side of the disappointment of the actual results.
Indeed. And just a quick shout out to Ilanga. Obviously, it goes without saying that obviously it's not his fault when he misses the penalty, but none of this is on him. And it was nice to see Ronaldo kind of put an arm around him. I'm sure he kind of gestured, look, blame me. I missed the penalty. I missed the umpteen chances. This is not on you. You know what I mean? So and well done for standing up. Obviously it's character building. What does it kill you?
Yeah,
makes you stronger and all that. So I mean,
it was.
Just letting him know that.
Go on, Ben.
I think it was. I think again, you get up with the disappointment, don't you? You kind of know what's coming, don't you, Nigel?
Exactly.
You see that penalty, and I think we've had countless conversations about this of guys just setting up, burner accounts, and just sort of like racially abusing people. And, let's be honest here, until social media puts in a criteria of how you can join, so therefore you've either got your driver license or your passport and some identification up, of who you are. Unfortunately, these keyboard warriors, who are mindless morons, I've got to put that in. I've got to say they're mindless morons. They're always going to have this sort of stage. And, all you are, guys, you're cowards. That's all I've got to say.
The thing is, it's not just you've just got to look at, what's happened over, the last 6-12 months. You look at the incidents after the Euros, when Rashford and Sancho and that were racially abused. You look at the Forest Leicester game the other day. When Forest scored that mindless idiot that decided to jump over and start laying into Forest, the Forest players. It's just mindless idiots.
Yeah. Well, just
going back to.
Sorry, Mike. Go on, carry on.
Just going back to the penalties, it was one of them for me that as you're watching them, you're thinking, well, hang on. Someone's going to miss at some point, be it, more than likely us, because our penalty shootout record is horrendous.
Atrocious.
But if Alanga had scored, you look at then who's next and you're thinking, good God, next it's Phil Jones or Luke Shaw, and you think,
it was settled for Phil Jones. I reckon he would have scored the winner.
Well, yeah, he was probably set up for Phil Jones to come in, and
Phil Jones has looked impeccable since he's come back.
Jones scored the winner.
You know what I mean? It's the only thing that kind of like I think we can address after that penalty shootout was it puts to bed the theory, doesn't it, that in the Europa League final that we should have brought Henderson on. You know,
exactly. Well said. I'm glad you said that.
I think that kind of like that kills that argument straight away, doesn't it? You know,
and the thing was, there was literally 2 he should have saved. You know, there's 2 efforts I went right under him. I'm like, you know, at least with the gate, it's like there's no chance. But there were 2 efforts there that were more than savable. So you're right. It puts that argument.
There was a couple that Middlesbrough took that I'm not sure if it was. It might have been you, Vern, who said it a few months ago to me. The best place to put a penalty is in the postage stamp, the very top corner, because it is the hardest place for a goalkeeper to get to. Peltier. And there was a couple of Peltier. You're looking at what an old stage right back who's been around the Championship and the Football League for years. And, you know, he's put one in the postage stamp. Yeah, we're putting them left, right, you know, the wrong side of the post and all sorts.
I mean, the thing was like, I mean, like you've got like guys like House and, you know, the seasoned pros, and it didn't phase them at all, did it? You know, you've got the United fans at the back of the net, you know, trying to really sort of like put them off, and you're thinking. You're hearing that.
That made me laugh when he scored. That made me laugh that he turned around and kind of give it them back a bit. Which, you know, to be fair to him,
he's got balls, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a guy in the Stretford end, no top on, while they were taking the penalty. Did you notice it, Mike? The guy in no top on actually berated.
Just dancing around like that in the steps.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sat there with my dad watching this game thinking, you know, this guy's got, you know, he's got a half decent physique. He's not going to put him off with that. Do you know what I mean? Maybe if I was there with my physique, it might have put him off a little bit. Because usually when I take my top off, I kind of look like Chewbacca, you know. But we're out of the cup. We're out of the cup. And it's sad because there's nothing better than a visit to Wembley. But we do have Burnley tonight. It's down to the, you know, it's down again. We're up against the clouds. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to Turf Moor?
No.
Nigel?
No. I haven't. I've driven past it a few times.
Okay. It's one of the strangest grounds in the world you go to. Because, I mean, like, you've got, like, the Bob Lord stand. You've got, like, wooden seats there. You've still got wooden seats. And when you go into the actual ground, it's almost like, as you're walking in, somebody says over the tannoy, "Now, lads from Manchester, please adjust your watches by 50 years." Honestly, it really feels like, but it's a tight, old-fashioned ground. And let's be honest with you guys, it's going to be a tough game tonight, isn't it?
It's always a tough game, I find, against Burnley. I mean, they didn't turn up the other week at Old Trafford, but, you know, especially at home, that they're a tough, bustling, hard-working unit who make it tough when you go there.
Yeah, I mean,
these are the games. These are the games, Vernon, where, you know, if you've got any ambition to win the league or finish top 4, it's like, can you go away to Burnley on a winter's cold, rainy night and get a result? So this is the game that nobody wants. It's freezing, and you know they're physical, they're big. They're going to be at you. They're going to, you know, bite your ankles. It's just the worst kind of game. So these are the ones that really kind of test your character. And so it'd be interesting to see how the boys cope. I mean, certainly following the disappointment of the last game, will their minds be focused, or will it be the beginning of another slide? Hopefully, they'll get focused in there.
It's weird because, like, Burnley have a really good record at Old Trafford, and United have a really good record at Turf Moor.
Yeah,
you kind of know what games that you're going to come across. I mean, like, you know, you'll have like Ben Mee just going through like Ronaldo, you know, any chance that he's got, The player that I actually do like most for them is Dwight O'Neil. I think he's a really good player. You know, he's
ex-United Academy lad.
Yeah, he was a United Academy lad, wasn't he? I mean, he's got this like beautiful. He's quite a technically gifted, good player, and they do like a long, deep cross, don't they, Burnley?
Yeah, I tell you what, man, I'm sick of all these ex-academy lads all over the place, and they're causing no end of trouble for us. There was three of them from the game against Middlesbrough. Well, it's like, what are all these ex-academy lads with lots of vendettas against us?
I suppose the thing is like, in fairness, the academy actually pays for itself, doesn't it? So you've got like, you know, you've got like these players that can't quite make the first team, like people like Drinkwater and, you know, O'Neil, but they carve themselves out really good. You know, Danny Pugh, players like that, you know, they carve themselves out really, really good careers outside of United, because obviously, you know, the development has been that good. And I suppose if you're United and you're picking up, you know, 2 to 3 to 5 million for players that haven't made the first team, then your academy pays for itself, doesn't it? You know, and that's what I mean. That's always happened in football, hasn't it? You know, players that haven't made the grade at a certain club, and they go away, dust themselves down, and you know, I mean, one of the best sort of examples is Ashley Young, wasn't he? Ashley Young at Watford was actually told he didn't have, you know, he terminated his contract, and he just said, well, okay, but can I come and train still every day? New manager comes in, fits his criteria, you get a career, don't you? Yeah. You know, it's just, I suppose, amazing how it works.
I mean, you've only got to look, was it Watmore was an ex-United lad, wasn't he? And he actually was released, I think played a few, for a few Northwest counties. He eventually picked up by Altrincham as I think an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And then he went a couple of good seasons with Altrincham, you know, in like non-league, picked up by Sunderland for a decent fee, which I think, you know, probably helped Altrincham at the time. And then, you know, Middlesbrough picked him up after that. And, you know, I remember when he was playing for Altrincham, he's been around for best part of, he's got to be getting on for 8-9 years now, maybe. And he's still only like, you know, 26 maybe. But for me, he changed the game the other night. He was dogged, he pressed and everything. And like you say, these ex-United Academy lads, they go out and Danny Higginbottom, another one, carved himself out a decent career at Stoke. So one I will ask you both about, actually, while we're talking about academy lads, who had another very, very good game on Sunday. Is he first team ready? Jimmy Garner.
I think so. I would actually, I don't know about you guys, but I'd actually bring him back off loan just so that we could have somebody that could take a decent corner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
Oh my days! Don't why did you mention corners?
I've got to.
In fact, any set piece.
Huh? I mean,
any set piece.
I mean, he was really good. I think, like the thing was with him, because I've been tracking him for the last couple of years. He went to Watford a couple of seasons ago, and the feeling was that he didn't get enough games, but also he needed another. They felt that, and then he went to Forest, and the club felt that he needed another season for the physicality of the game. They just felt that physically he just wasn't quite ready. So again, it was like another loan move. Now, I watched him in the game against Arsenal in the FA Cup, and he bossed that midfield. And then again against Leicester, which we have to mention were FA Cup holders.
Yeah,
you know. And they just
and have a good midfield themselves.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah,
and I mean, he didn't look. I mean, I think it's getting to the stage maybe with Garner where they will probably have to bring him back, in the pre-season, bring him into the fold, have him around the squad, and gently introduce him and probably play him in a Carabao Cup game, and then just say, well, like very much like they did with Nicky Butt and other players like that, where. All of a sudden you're just in. And to be honest with you, it brings a big smile to your face because you look at him and you think to yourself, well, there is like light at the end of the tunnel, isn't there?
Yeah.
When you
I was going to say, for quite a few of our academy players, I mean, Hannibal is just pulling up sticks where he's brilliant. He's really good. As like one who I'd almost be tempted to introduce now.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of them.
Leicester's doing okay. Yeah.
We introduced Alanga, was it, towards the end of last season when we knew there wasn't much to play for, and he kind of took his chance.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the thing with Alanga is is he's a very light lad. You can tell, I think he's pretty bubbly. He works hard. He wants to learn. He wants to be a part of it. And you look at him and you think to yourself, there's a baller there, isn't there? You know what I mean? You look at him and you just think, there's a baller, there's a player there. He's a really good player. And
I think he's young enough to learn, isn't he? I think that's the thing with Ralph. He wants players who are going to follow instructions. And I think if you're young enough to learn, then you can go a long way in this.
Well, you can mold them, can't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. You can mold them. I mean, seasoned pros at a certain age, you just aren't going to take the bad habits out of them. Yeah. Whereas you get somebody young, and you can move them into being fantastic and good, and you can get them to do what you want. Now it's funny, really, because
hang on a minute. You can't keep saying things like that. Set me up nicely, because I want to talk about McTominay because I thought he had a terrible game against Middlesbrough. I think he's kind of, you talk about players that can be molded, and I'm almost wondering, someone like McTominay, who just disappeared for like 2/3 of that game. It's like, is he that player who can still be molded, or is he now developed bad habits like some of the other senior players? Do
you know what? I'll tell you what I see with McTominay. I see a player that's good, but he struggles with consistency. So I'll give you 2 examples. He runs the game and scores against Burnley, and then against Wolves is just horrendous. He's just, you're thinking this guy's going to get hooked anytime soon. This is how bad he is.
Exactly.
And then you'll have another game where you think, like against Brentford, you think to yourself, well, yeah, it is a good performance in it. I know a lot of people say, yeah, but you should be beating Brentford, but it's a hard place to go. It is a hard place to go and get a result.
City won 1-0 there.
Liverpool drew 3-3. Chelsea just about scraped to win. Mendy was like man of the match, the goalkeeper.
And Arsenal got beat.
So it's not an easy place to go. And then again, Nigel, you'll say you come back to the game on Friday night, and he just goes AWOL, doesn't he? You just think to yourself, well, where is he?
So when you're talking about McTominay, who struggles with consistency, I'm going to throw another name in there. His mate who played alongside him, and they become McFred. Now he struggles with consistency.
Whoa! Fred didn't play. Pogba was playing.
Because
all this energy for Fred.
No.
Give the guy a break.
Fred came on.
The thing is, Nigel, the way he's going, he's going to have a permanent break.
Yeah, I think there's times when he struggles to pass a ball 3, 4, 5 yards, but then other times, I don't watch a lot of when he goes away on international duty, but the reports you read, he runs the games for Brazil. He's one of the first names on the team sheet, and you think, how is Brazil's midfield that bad that he's got to be the first name?
The thing is, Nigel, we've got a clip of him on international duty, haven't we, Nigel? When everybody else is flicking it. Everybody else
we've got a clip of him.
And then it comes to Fred, and well, it breaks down, doesn't it, Nigel? Let's just say that.
Well.
Think about like a classic Brazilian football move. The interchange, the passing, it's almost like they're dancing on the ball, and then it lands at Fred, and the whole thing just comes crashing down.
So think about it, Mike. Think about like Carlos Alberto's goal, the 4-1 in the 92nd World Cup. This is what was happening, It was samba football at its very best. And then it came to Fred, and it just became, I love rock and roll. Do you know what I mean? It was just like...
But then, so you like you say, and against McTominay against Brentford had a cracking game in midfield. Fred set up the first, with an absolute peach of a pass.
Beautiful pass.
For Alanga. How many times is he going to do that? Because I guarantee you, before the end of the season, he probably won't do that again.
Yeah.
No,
but
that's true. It's true indeed, and it is a very good point. It is a very good point. But guys, predictions. It comes prediction time for tonight. So, Mike, as you're the guest, we'll start with you.
2-0, but
2-0.
I think it'll be a proper tough, hard fought 2-0, and I think we'll get the second will come in the dying minutes. You know, we'll be under the cosh for the last 15-20 minutes, and I think it'll be like some form of counter attack or something and we'll finish them off.
Nigel, I will ask you your prediction in the voice of Sean Dyche. Well, it was tough, wasn't
it? His voice is just like the club, in it. Gosh, I actually think I do actually think we've turned the corner. I think, bar the result against Middlesbrough, and I know it's just Middlesbrough, but very much like a Sean Dyche team. Actually, they're going to be physical. They're going to be snappy. You know, I thought we managed it. I thought we managed the game brilliantly. And obviously, the score should have been 7-1. There's no two ways about it. 7-1.
I agree with that.
So I think we've turned the corner. I think we'll provided we're clinical, I think we'll see this out quite surprisingly easy. So I'm going for an easy 2 or 3-0 win.
Which one is it?
All right, I'm gonna say 3-0.
3-0. Okay, I'm gonna go with 1-0. I'll go with 1-0, just, to be different, But it's all positives at the end of it.
I'm going to say, just add on mine, I think Rashford will get the second.
Okay, well, he's in a good run of form with his goals, so I think you could be right there, young Michael. So, guys, that brings to an end another Red Shirt podcast. This, I think, now is episode 49. Am I correct there, Nigel?
So 49.
Episode 49. So next week will be the 50th. So, guys, please like, subscribe, and watch. And again, I've got to give a big shout out to our friend Nigel, Anthony Bazzina, who always likes to have a comment. Do you know what I mean? Keep them coming, Anthony. I know you were pretty sad on, a bit like me on Friday night, pretty gutted, like Nigel and like Mike. But keep on, you know what I mean? Keep safe. Love football. Love life. And Nigel.
Keep the red flag flying.
And believe that hype of Jimmy Garner and Hannibal.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
I don't believe the hype about Fred.
Very good.
Very good. See you later, guys. Thanks very much.
See you later.
Bye.